About 85% of total primary energy supply in Iceland is derived from domestically produced renewable energy sources. In 2011, geothermal energy provided about 65% of primary energy. The share of hydropower was 20%, and the share of fossil fuels was 15%. In 2013, Iceland also became a producer of wind energy. The main use of geothermal energy is for space heating, with the heat being distributed to buildings through extensive district heating systems. About 85% of all houses in Iceland are heated with geothermal energy. Renewable energy provides almost 100% of electricity production, with about 75% coming from hydropower and 25% from geothermal power. Most of the hydropower plants are owned by Landsvirkjun, which is the main supplier of electricity in Iceland. In 2011, the total electricity consumption in Iceland was 17,210 gigawatt-hours. Iceland is the world's largest green energy producer per capita and largest electricity producer per capita. Geology. Iceland's unique geology allows it to produce renewable energy relatively cheaply, from a variety of sources. Iceland is located on the mid-Atlantic ridge, which makes it one of the most tectonically active places in the world. There are over 200 volcanoes located in Iceland and over 600 hot springs. There are over 20 high-temperature steam fields that are at least 150 degrees Celsius. Many of them reach temperatures of 250 degrees Celsius. This is what allows Iceland to harness geothermal energy, and these steam fields are used for everything from heating houses to heating swimming pools. Hydropower is harnessed through glacial rivers and waterfalls, which are both plentiful in Iceland. Hydropower. The first hydropower plant was built in 1904 by a local entrepreneur. It was located in a small town outside of Reykjavik and produced 9 kilowatts of power. The first municipal hydroelectric plant was built in 1921, and it could produce 1 megawatt of power. This plant single-handedly quadrupled the amount of electricity in the country. The 1950s marked the next evolution in hydroelectric plants. 2 plants were built on the Sog River, one in 1953 which produced 31 megawatts, and the other in 1959 which produced 26.4 megawatts. These 2 plants were the first built for industrial purposes, and they were co-owned by the Icelandic government. This process continued in 1965 when the national power company, Landsvirkjun, was founded. It was owned by both the Icelandic government and the municipality of Reykjavik. In 1969, they built a 210 megawatts plant on the Tjosa River that would supply the southeastern area of Iceland with electricity and run an aluminum smelting plant that could produce 33,000 tons of aluminum a year. This trend continued, and increases in the production of hydroelectric power are directly related to industrial development. In 2005, Landsvirkjun produced 7,143 gigawatt-hours of electricity, total of which 6,676 gigawatt-hours and 93% was produced via hydroelectric power plants. Additionally, 5,193 gigawatt-hours or 72% was used for power-intensive industries like aluminum smelting. In 2009, Iceland built its biggest hydroelectric project to date, a 690 megawatts hydroelectric plant to provide energy for another aluminum smelter, the Karanjaka hydropower plant. This project was opposed strongly by environmentalists. Other hydroelectric power stations in Iceland include Blondustith, Burfellstoth, Rana Ufostith, Laxarstoth var, Seaguldustith, Sogstoth var, Saltartangastorth, and Vatnsfellstoth. Iceland is the first country in the world to create an economy generated through industries fueled by renewable energy, and there is still a large amount of untapped hydroelectric energy in Iceland. In 2002 it was estimated that Iceland only generated 17% of the total harnessable hydroelectric energy in the country. Iceland's government believes another 30 terawatt-hours of hydropower every year could be produced, whilst taking into account the sources that must remain untapped for environmental reasons. Geothermal power. For centuries, the people of Iceland have used the hot springs for bathing and washing clothes. The first use of geothermal energy for heating did not come until 1907, when a farmer ran a concrete pipe from a hot spring that led steam into his house. In 1930, the first pipeline was constructed in Reykjavik, and was used to heat 2 schools, 60 homes, and a main hospital. It was a 3 km pipeline that ran from one of the hot springs outside the city. In 1943, the first district heating company was started with the use of geothermal power. An 18 km pipeline ran through the city of Reykjavik, and by 1945 it was connected to over 2,850 homes. Currently, geothermal power heats 89% of the houses in Iceland, and over 54% of the primary energy used in Iceland comes from geothermal sources. Geothermal power is used for many things in Iceland. 57.4% of the energy is used for space heat, 25% is used for electricity, and the remaining amount is used in many miscellaneous areas: swimming pools, fish farms, and greenhouses, for example. The government of Iceland has played a major role in the advancement of geothermal energy. In the 1940s, the State Electricity Authority was started by the government in order to increase the knowledge of geothermal resources and the utilization of geothermal power in Iceland. It was later changed to the National Energy Authority in 1967. This agency has been very successful and has made it economically viable to use geothermal energy as a source for heating in many different areas throughout the country. Geothermal power has been so successful that the government no longer has to lead the research in this field because it has been taken over by the geothermal industries. Geothermal power plants in Iceland include Nesjavalir, Reykjanes, Hellisheidi, Grafla, and Svartsengi power plants. The Svartsengi power plant and the Nesjavalir power plant produce both electricity and hot water for heating purposes. The move from oil-based heating to geothermal heating saved Iceland an estimated total of US $8.2 billion from 1970 to 2000, and lowered the release of carbon dioxide emissions by 37%. The equivalent amount of oil that would have been needed in 2003 to heat Iceland's homes was 646,000 tons. The Icelandic government also believes that there are many more untapped geothermal sources throughout the country, estimating that over 20 terawatt-hours per year of unharnessed geothermal energy is available. This is about 3.3% of the 600 terawatt-hours per year of electricity used in Germany. Combined with the unharnessed feasible hydropower, tapping these sources to the full extent would provide Iceland another 50 terawatt-hours of energy per year, all from renewable sources. Iceland's abundant geothermal energy has also enabled renewable energy initiatives, such as Carbon Recycling International's carbon dioxide to methanol fuel process. which could help reduce Iceland's dependence on fossil fuels. Solar power. Iceland has relatively low insolation due to the latitude, about 20% less than Paris, and half as much as Madrid, with very little in the winter. Unlike geothermal, solar power is a non-dispatchable renewable energy source. The sun follows a predictable path, but the weather is not controllable. This makes both wind power and solar power variable renewable energy sources. Net metering credits electricity generated during the summer for use during the winter, if net metering nor local energy storage is not available. The largest array that is practical for a consumer to install is that which will generate less than or equal to the amount of electricity used during the sunniest month. A much smaller array, hydrogen, currently imported oil, fulfills most of Iceland's remaining energy needs. This cost has caused Iceland to focus on domestic renewable energy. Ívarsson, a local professor, first proposed the idea of using hydrogen as a fuel source in Iceland during the 1970s, which is also when the oil crisis occurred. At that point in time, this idea was considered untenable, but in 1999 Icelandic New Energy was established to govern the project of transitioning Iceland into the first hydrogen society by 2050. This followed a decision in 1998 by the Icelandic Parliament to convert vehicle and fishing fleets to hydrogen produced from renewable energy. Iceland provides an ideal location to test the viability of hydrogen as a fuel source for the future, since it is a small country of only 320,000 people, with over 60% living in the capital, Reykjavik. The relatively small scale of the infrastructure will make it easier to transition the country from oil to hydrogen. There is also a plentiful supply of natural energy that can be harnessed to produce hydrogen in a renewable way, making it perfect for hydrogen production. Iceland is a participant in international hydrogen fuel research and development programs, and many countries are following the nation's progress with interest. However, these factors also make Iceland an advantageous market for electric vehicles. Because electric vehicles are 4 times more efficient and less expensive than hydrogen vehicles, the country may switch to electric vehicles. Iceland already converts its surplus electricity into exportable goods and hydrocarbon replacements. In 2002 it produced 2,000 tons of hydrogen gas by electrolysis, primarily for the production of ammonia for fertilizer. ECTOS demonstration project. The first step towards becoming a hydrogen society was the ECTOS demonstration project, which ran from 2001 until August 2005 and was very successful. ECTOS involved 3 hydrogen fuel cell buses and 1 fuel station. Many international companies contributed to the project, including Daimler Chrysler, who made the hydrogen fuel cell buses, and Shell, which produced the hydrogen fuel station. The European Commission 5th Framework Programme sponsored the project. The first hydrogen fuel station in Iceland opened in 2003 in Reykjavik. To avoid transportation difficulties, hydrogen is produced on site using electrolysis to break down water into hydrogen and oxygen. All of the energy used to produce the hydrogen comes from Iceland's renewable energies and the full cycle of energy, for the water to the hydrogen in the fuel cells, emits no CO2. During the project, the researchers studied the efficiency of using hydrogen as a fuel source. They examined the reliability of the fuel and effectiveness of hydrogen as a fuel in buses. They also studied the cost-effectiveness of using hydrogen as a fuel source and how the process of introducing hydrogen into the country could be implemented. They examined specific areas like the ease of incorporating fuel stations and producing hydrogen, and the safety precautions involved with distributing and using hydrogen, a very explosive fuel. Fleet Qt project. In January 2006 it was decided to continue testing the hydrogen buses as part of the Fleet Qt project, which spans 10 cities in Europe, China and Australia, and which is sponsored by the European Commission's 6th Framework Programme. This project studies the long-term effects and most efficient ways of using hydrogen-powered buses. The buses are run for longer periods of time, and the durability of the fuel cell is compared to the combustion engine, which can theoretically last a lot longer. The project also compares the fuel efficiency of the original buses with new buses from different manufacturers that are supposed to be more fuel efficient. The project ended in January 2007, and as a result of the research, an improved bus prototype is expected in 2008. Details of further demonstrations involving private cars and a boat were expected in April 2007. Other projects. Iceland has also begun many other projects involving hydrogen. The Hyport project is investigating the feasibility of exporting hydrogen fuel to Europe. Options include transporting the gas through an undersea pipeline or by boat, or exporting electricity generated in Iceland through a submarine cable. Another project to build a hydrogen-powered H-ship started in February 2004 and is looking at the practicalities of using hydrogen as a fuel for Iceland's fishing fleet, one of the country's main industries. The project will identify and try to remove barriers that may prevent marine vehicles from using hydrogen as a fuel, such as problems caused by water and salt. It will also try to identify and remedy weakness within the fuel cell to ensure the protection of marine life. The H-ship project is a major step in the plan for Iceland to become the first country to phase out the use of fossil fuels. Government funding as well as private organizations such as the World Renewable Energy Congress are the primary sponsors of research in this sector. From hydrogen to electricity, electric cars with strategically located charging stations make a lot of sense for Iceland, where 75% of the country's residents live within 37 miles of the capital city. Hydrogen cars are not expected to be mass-produced anywhere in the world until at least 2015, and with the first electric cars rolling off production lines in 2010, it will be faster to introduce electric vehicles. Iceland's 840-mile long ring road could theoretically be covered with just 14 fast charging stations. Education and research. There are several educational institutions that offering education in renewable energy in Iceland on university level. The University of Iceland is a progressive educational and scientific institution, renowned in the global scientific community for its research. It is a state university, situated in Reykjavik, the capital of Iceland, a modern, diversified and rapidly developing institution. The University of Iceland offers opportunities for study and research in almost 300 programs spanning most fields of science and scholarship: social sciences, health sciences, humanities, sciences and engineering. Some 9,700 students are registered at UI and 1,000 full-time employees. Reykjavik University has the mission to create and communicate knowledge in order to increase the competitiveness of individuals, firms and society as a whole, while at the same time enhancing the quality of life of their students and staff. The aim is to make Reykjavik University the center for international research collaborations in Europe and across the Atlantic. The university consists of 5 academic schools: School of Law, School of Business, School of Health and Education, School of Computer Science and the School of Science and Engineering. Reykjavik University is a community of over 3,000 students and over 500 full-time and part-time employees. About half of all instructors at RU are active in Icelandic industry, and about 10% are guest finest instructors from overseas. ILI Atlantic Center of Excellence in ESBRU next to the Keflavik International Airport offer a multidisciplinary BSc programs in energy technology in cooperation with the University of Iceland. The school also runs a state-of-the-art research center in energy sciences, RES, the School for Renewable Energy Science, located in Akureyri, North Iceland, is offering an intensive and unique interdisciplinary research-oriented one-year graduate program in renewable energy science. The program is offered in cooperation with the University of Iceland and University of Akureyri, as well as in partnership with a number of leading technical universities around the world. In 2009, the school offers 4 specializations of study: 1. Geothermal energy, 2. Fuel cell systems and hydrogen, 3. Biofuels and bioenergy, and 4. Energy systems and AMP policies. RES offers also summer programs and individual courses in the field. Iceland's School of Energy, located in Reykjavik, offers MSc studies in the field of renewable energy engineering, policy and science. The foundation for the ICE was laid in April 2007 when Reykjavik Energy, the University of Iceland and Reykjavik University signed an agreement on establishing an international graduate program on sustainable energy. ICE is an interdisciplinary school in higher education for engineers and scientists, has a focus on global environmental protection and sustainable use of energy resources, and creates leading experts in management, design and research in utilization of sustainable energy. The unique expertise of all its founding partners forms an excellent platform for the school to build on. The largest research institution in renewable energy in the country is University of Iceland, which is state university, founded in 1911 and situated in the heart of Reykjavik, the capital of Iceland. As a scientific institution is it renowned in the global scientific community for its research in renewable energy. Another state university, University of Akureyri, located in Akureyri in North Iceland, is also conducting various research in the field of renewable energy. One of the main tasks of the National Energy Authority of Iceland is to carry out energy research and provide consulting services related to energy development and energy utilization. Several companies, public and private, are conducting extensive research in the field of renewable energy. Landsvirkjun, the national electricity company of the Republic of Iceland, is both in research of hydro and geothermal as well, and funding a great deal of research work in the field in the country. The Icelandic Energy Portal is an independent information source on the Icelandic energy sector. Iceland Geosurvey is a public consulting and research institute providing specialist services to the Icelandic power industry, dedicated mainly to geothermal and hydro research. Bibliography: 19th World Energy Congress. Sustainable Generation and Utilization of Energy: The Case of Iceland. Sydney, 2004. Barda.ir, Helga. Energy in Iceland. Reykjavik, H.J.A. Godjono, 2004. Bjornsson, Sven Bjorn. Geothermal Development and Research in Iceland. Ed. Helga. Barda.ir. Reykjavik, Godjono, 2006.